friends, and welcome to the January 13th, 2023 edition of the AstroEnergy Astrology podcast. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm your astrologer in Orlando, Florida, and I want to thank you for coming back to the podcast here in the new year. It's going to be quite a rockin' and rollin' new year. If you are interested in finding out about your personal astrology, I did a year in review podcast for each sign. Those are in my YouTube videos and also in SoundCloud. And we've also got extended readings for each one of the signs for month to month, understanding of what's coming in for the year. So this week, we've got a few things coming in. We actually had pretty busy beginning of the year already. And this week is no different than last week in as far as it's exciting and a lot of interesting stuff happening. So as of yesterday, Mars went direct in Gemini at 8 degrees. And I don't know about you, but I'm very excited that that has finally happened. Mars in particular has squared all of my Virgo energy, which is a lot. I've got 4 planets in Virgo, including Pluto, Uranus, Sun, and Mercury. And so it's had a direct hit to everything except for Mercury. And if you've got any Virgo planets, you've probably been feeling this too. I have a Gemini friend who said, "What's going on? I feel supercharged." And like, yeah, Mars went direct yesterday. Mars turning direct, I was out doing a walk around a park at a local venue at a local park and listening to the radio in the car afterwards, and my battery died within 6 minutes of Mars turning direct. So I thought that was pretty significant. Fortunately, I just waited half an hour and I was able to turn the car on again. And the battery is actually fairly new. It's less than a year old. And it was just other extenuating circumstances during the battery. Okay, so Mars now direct, we are going to see a forward momentum going, which is really exciting. If you're in Aries, if you are a Gemini, and even Virgo, although it doesn't particularly sit well with Virgo energy because they square each other, but Aries answers to Mars. And so that is a really good energy for Aries people to move forward. Mars does still answer to Mercury being in Gemini, and Mercury is still retrograde for another week. What does that mean? 2 things. First off, it means that answering to Mercury retrograde means there's information that's going to come out around untruths, things that have been less than forthright or forthcoming, because Mercury in Capricorn, which is where Mercury is, in the direct motion means we talk literal, we don't tell lies, we are sincere, we are responsible and ethical. And Mercury retrograde means that we go back over what we've said with a fine-tooth comb to find where we have not been fully forthcoming or fully full of integrity. Even though Mars is direct in Gemini, it doesn't mean that we're free to just say whatever we want, especially for the next week, because Mars is still beholden to that energy of Mercury, but also he wants to move, he wants to get going. He's very anxious to manifest that which he has been reviewing during his retrograde. Mars in retrograde had 2 choices and 2 options with the ideas, with the awareness of what's going on. Action-wise, Mars is action. In Gemini's the act of 2 different things. And that could be 2 jobs. It just depends on where it falls in your chart. 2 jobs, 2 children, 2 choices to make money, 2 choices to where to live, 2 choices on how you're going to handle a situation with a partner, et cetera, et cetera. And so now he kind of knows what direction he wants to go, but he hasn't necessarily fully told all the parties involved in that decision. And he may still have information that needs to come to light or has not come to light with involved parties. Mercury in Capricorn stops in a week at 8 degrees, which is the degree Mars stopped at. So there is a very strong correlation between these 2. Okay, we're going to go back to Aries. And currently, Juno just went into Aries this morning, early in the morning Eastern, around 3:40, I think. And so Juno is the asteroid of marriage. She is a goddess that was born of, she came out of the head of Zeus, which is an interesting imagery, but she pretty much represents marriage and commitment, as does Libra, which rules your seventh house, or the seventh house. Currently, the moon is in Libra at 7 degrees. So the moon and Ceres, the asteroid of harvest and the hearth, like bringing bread home and, finding the culmination of the growth cycle, is in Libra, which is marriage and partnership. And it can also reflect in business. It doesn't just have to reflect in marriage, romantic situations. It can be other partnership situations. What Libra does is tries to balance us. And so moon in Libra is about balance. It is about emotion in relationship to others. It is about diplomacy and peace. It is really the peace-loving sign and very social minded. So it is the sign of social workers. Juno just going into Aries means it is now wanting to move forward. And again, it answers to Mars, and Mars is still not fully on board mind and action. So we're seeing like the beginnings of this energy around wanting a scenario where you might get married, but your actions are like starting to awaken on doing something, but you have to get right, so to speak, with the situation surrounding the action. Jupiter is at 2 degrees, within 2 degrees also of Juno, and those two are very closely linked as they were married. And so it is a strong connection around expansion, and it's male energy, masculine, the divine masculine, if you will. And it represents expansion of spiritual growth in the masculine, in the divine masculine. And then finally, we have Chiron at 12 degrees Aries. So Juno and Jupiter are going to cross over Chiron in the course of the next couple months. And that will be the wounding, the male wounding, which may be part of the story of the commitment or getting married or expansion, growth, spiritually expressing yourself. Many different things that this energy is bringing into our world right now. It is expanding. The Jupiter and Aries energy is expanding spiritual growth. It's expanding your awareness of higher understanding of things, which can also translate to higher education, college. Jupiter is travel, long distance travel, people of foreign culture. So, there even may be an energy of marrying someone of foreign culture, which if you have Libra planets or Aries planets, potentially Aquarius and Gemini planets are also susceptible to this energy being sextile. Sextile is a cooperative energy. And Sagittarius as well as Leo could be feeling this energy fairly strong right now. We have Uranus and the North Node within 4 degrees of each other, and that is a heightened expression around different types of currency, different ways of doing financial business. Retail is affected by this energy. Love is affected by this energy, how we express our love and what we want to grow, as well as personal value, what we think of our own value and how we express that sense of value. North Node is fate. It's a node of destiny. It is what we are not familiar with and how we express ourselves towards something that may be uncomfortable to express just because we're not real familiar with it. It isn't part of our history of understanding, and it is towards growth, and it is towards a broader sense of the collective mind, and it is fortunate and optimistic, but yet it is unfamiliar, so we may resist it. And Uranus being so close can bring in a person who represents that kind of energy, somebody who is more eccentric or somebody who has a broader mind about ideas and brings in information that we may not have been privy to in the past. And it is to help us grow. That being said, Uranus is retrograde until 2 weeks from now. The 21st, Uranus goes direct. And when that happens, it happens right around the 20th, which the sun goes into Aquarius, Uranus's natural sign. Moon goes into Aquarius the next day and creates a new moon on the 21st. And on the 22nd, Uranus goes direct. And Uranus rules the energy that the sun and the moon will be answering to the day and 2 days before. So it's going to be a pretty intense week, not this coming week, but the week after, which is next week's podcast. So we'll touch more on that when we get to it. And then we talked about Mars. Mars is in quincunx to Sun, well, not Sun, to Mercury right now. Mars is in trine to Venus and also the moon. So you probably won't feel this energy dead on for the moon, but you will get Cirrus, which when the moon moves off of this degree of grand trine in air, Cirrus is still at 5 degrees. So that will still be an energy of trine for the planets, which are Cirrus, Venus, and Mars. And so Venus, obviously, feminine desire around independence and autonomy in Aquarius. Gemini, Mars, which is having mental clarity and awareness of social mores and wanting to get right with the energy of head and heart, but also taking action on that. It really is feminine energy, Venus, and masculine energy. And then Cirrus is home and hearth and how the harvest looks, like what comes from it. And because at the time I'm recording this, the moon is also there in grand trine in Libra, it is about the balancing of a marriage situation or diplomacy regarding that marriage situation. That's going to shift at some point. Venus will come out of alignment, Mars will come out of alignment, and moon will move on. But it is a moment in time where we are looking at the dynamic between men, women, and the balance between them. In the house of Cancer, we've got Pallas Athena. She is a goddess warrior. Currently, she is in the center midpoint between the Sun and Mercury, which I find really interesting as an energy because she is wanting to bring attention to the home, to the family life, feminine energy, very strong. Like, pay attention to this. I am the queen of the domain, so to speak. And opposite is Sun and Mercury. So Sun is the ego. In Capricorn, it is the boss, the leader, the authority. And Mercury is the thought process and what we really feel we should do, how we express ourselves in our thoughts, in our pragmatism, in our dogma, meaning our belief systems and the practical application of our belief systems. Again, Mercury being retrograde is going to shift what that belief system is, shift what the dogma is and the practicality of it. So look for that to happen. Pallas Athena is giving us a clue as to what energy may be where we should be looking. And then Mercury Capricorn is adjusting the structure on some level and about the mindset of the structure and the system. Black Moon Lilith at 15 degrees of Leo. And so that is opposite Venus currently. And that is, again, very strong female energy in the sky right now. All the Capricorn planets are feminine in energy. Venus, which is a feminine planet, is in a masculine sign, giving her more power. Pallas Athena is in the domain of home and family and the mother. And then Black Moon Lilith is in Leo, which is the center of attention, kind of bringing up her energy to being that very dynamic, very aware of feminine female power within authority situations. So we're seeing some strong female energy between all of those entities. And then the moon in Libra kind of wants to just be happy and at peace with everything. Uranus currently is in a feminine sign of Taurus. And then the feminine energy of Pisces has Vesta, which is home and hearth, and Neptune, which is the ideal, at late degrees. So this is kind of the energy where we do see women in the spotlight, but also late Neptune, women making their transition, which we saw last night with Lisa Marie Presley at a very young age of 54 years old. She passed away of cardiac arrest last night in LA. So I just find that kind of disconcerting. Personally, I was thinking of looking at her chart, but I don't want to do charts of people so recently deceased. I just find that's really disrespectful. And so we may wait a little while to look into her chart, even though she's a public figure. She did have some Pisces planets. And I just thought when I saw her chart this morning, I'm like, wow, she really had kind of that Pisces energy in her eyes too. Like Pisces are very big doe eyes. But she had kind of squint in her eyes that made her eyes really stand out, and very dramatic eyeshadow also. But yeah, my thoughts and prayers are with her family at this time for sure. We are seeing this strong female energy and drawing us to be aware of it. And really looking at the chart, Aries and Gemini are the strong segments currently for masculine energy. I think because Black Moon Lilith is in Leo, which can be, the male energy in the center of attention, but it's the feminine energy, is really kind of taking that fiery masculine energy and making it her own. So we're seeing the energy for masculine expression right now in Saturn in Aquarius, Jupiter and Chiron in Aries, and then Mars in Gemini. I'm just going to kind of keep it really light throughout the week to tell you what's going on with the week. We've got the moon in Libra today and tomorrow, and it goes into Scorpio at 7:08 a.m. on Sunday. The energy of awareness around relationships and balance now. And keep in mind, Libra has a lot of awareness of multiple sides of a situation and has a difficult time making a decision. And I think that energy is probably going to carry on until Sunday when moon goes into Scorpio, and then that will really make it very clear what direction you should be going in. Also on Sunday, Mercury will be getting closer to its direct motion and going station, which may also reinforce and influence the energy of moon going into Scorpio. So sextile, meaning 60 degrees apart, is, in my opinion, the nicest, most cooperative energy astrologically. So, having the moon in sextile on Sunday to Mercury retrograde going into station at the early part of the week is really going to shift the energy around our mindset and around what we are aware of. It can also influence what's going on with the Biden papers, so to speak, and what was found out about those. Keep in mind that they were finding them as Mars was in station. And when Mercury goes to station and direct, the truth will come out. It will be, known in public knowledge as that moves forward. Capricorn does rule the elderly and elderly statesmen specifically. So it should be interesting to see what comes out after next week when Mars and Mercury are both direct. And then Mercury starts to move forward towards the sun and towards culminating that story. And having Mercury go direct, that happens Wednesday at 8:12 a.m. Eastern and 5:12 a.m. Pacific. Moon enters Sagittarius on Tuesday, and that will highlight higher understanding, awareness, travel, needing to be on the go, independence, freedom, horses, athletics, real estate, college education, professors, spiritual seeking, which can also relate to what we do religiously, and then also training and education as it relates to your path with your career. That will come in Tuesday and Wednesday. And Thursday, the moon goes into Capricorn. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Saturday next week, we have a new moon at 1 degree Aquarius, which will be really interesting to talk about for the next podcast. So we're not going to talk about that. Middle of the week, the moon squares Jupiter in Aries, which is going to enforce a shift around understanding, awareness, and the path we take forward. By then, of course, Mercury and Mars will be going direct, and Jupiter will be in sextile to Mars. So the male energy will be making decisions and moving forward. And look out for when Jupiter hits Chiron as it comes in the next month or two. Chiron and Jupiter join up on March 12th. So that's going to be a pretty significant energy. If you've listened to my podcast for the beginning of the year, we touch on that. March is the most significant month coming up this year, in my opinion. There may be some others. I think August and September are going to be pretty strong too, and December. But definitely March is going to be pretty much the memory of the year and historically going to be the month that people remember. Okay, I think that's all for this week. Looks really good going into the week as far as energetically, with the exception of that shift with Mercury That's going to be some definite news stories and energy shifts coming in for us. But the rest of the week, know that the moons are going to highlight the connectedness of self to others and the collective consciousness. So it represents marriage, commitment, legalities, travel, long distance travel, people of foreign cultures, career, and yeah, ends there for this week. So I am so happy to be back. Thank you so much for coming back to the podcast. We'll see you again soon, and have a great 2023. Bye.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab.
Mercury.
To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at AstroEnergy Astrology Show.